Hello everyone out there in podcast land. Welcome back to our next session, and thank you all for dialing back in. Our next set of topics is on a topic that's become kind of near and dear to my heart. It's an aspirational topic. There is an exclusive club that I would like to talk to you a little bit about. When it comes to supplier diversity, it's called the $1 Billion Roundtable. And it's a select group of major corporations that have achieved and sustained at least $1 billion in procurement spend with MWBEs. So when I was talking earlier today about our initiative to increase our spend about 40% over the next 2 years, that is intended to put us in a position to ask to be admitted into the $1 Billion Roundtable. And if we were successful, we might be the first oil and gas company to reach the BDR. Now, I'm aware that at least one or two of our peers in the oil industry are also working toward that, so I think maybe the race is on, but that's a good thing. That's a good thing for our industry, and I think it's a good thing for the MBE community. But what I wanted to do, I wanted to introduce to you two of my peers in other industries. First of all, Darlene Owens with Dell. She is the Global Supplier Diversity Program Director. And Veronica Manuel Gilbert with Johnson & Johnson. She is the Director of Enterprise Supplier Diversity. And they are both proud and leading members. Their companies are proud and leading members of the $1 Billion Roundtable. And so I invited them to come and share with us a little bit. I wanted to, for those of you who don't know about the BDR, I wanted to ask them a few questions just to talk about the BDR and about the processes that their companies went through in order to put into position everything that it takes for a company to reach and sustain $1 billion worth of spend with minority and women-owned businesses. So let me start then by asking, so for those of you who may not know, and I imagine there aren't going to be many, but just a word or two about what your companies do, and then we want to talk a little bit about the BDR. So Darlene, tell us about Dell.
Sure.
Talk about Dell.
I think hopefully everyone is very familiar with Dell.
Yes.
But we are a full-service technology and software services company. Technology. We also sell, people know us through our hardware, through our computers, our laptops, our servers, but we also provide services and solutions.
And how long has Dell been a member of the BDR?
Dell was inducted into the BDR in 2009.
2009.
So 6 years.
So Johnson & Johnson is the world's largest comprehensive healthcare manufacturer. We also have consumer products, so we make pharmaceuticals, medical devices, as well as we have a lot of consumer brands. People usually think baby care, Band-Aids and baby powder, but it's a very large company, and it's an old company. I think Dell's pretty old too. We've been around since for about 128 years.
We're not that old.
a little older.
About 31.
Okay, well we're a little older than that. So, we've been in the BDR since 2011. We're one of the newer members of the BDR, and we're the first healthcare company to join.
So for those who don't know, so for the $1 Billion Roundtable, you must reach at least $1 billion with certified minority and women-owned businesses. So either NMSDC certified for minorities or WeBank certified for women-owned businesses, and it's auditable.
Yes.
Annually,
yes.
Right?
Annually.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's a challenging standard, not just only to meet it, but also to sustain it. So what has being a part of the BDR meant to your organization in terms of the things that the BDR sort of does, the content of the BDR's work?
Well, for us, it's about it's not only the commitment and being known as a technology company that's committed to women and minority-owned businesses, but it's also an opportunity for us to network and benchmark with companies that are considered the best in breed as I'll say. Companies such as Johnson & Johnson and the other 19? There's 21 members
21
now.
now.
19 members, that's right, we're grown up. We're legal now, 21.
21.
The other 19 companies are pretty much all global, and we know that they have gone through similar processes or established similar processes and have expanded their programs globally. And so it's a good idea, it's a good time for us whenever we get together to hear what they're doing. There's some things that they're doing that we'd like to do and institute in our organization, and vice versa. Some of us are members of the same industry, and some of us are competitors, but usually the $1 billion roundtable is a neutral zone, and it's just a way for us to kind of to learn from each other. So that's been a very valuable thing for us.
You know, again, we're going to repeat a lot of the same things, but I would say that, and in addition, J&J has had a philosophy which we refer to as the credo, and one of our original owners wrote that back, some 80 years ago. And one of the lines in it says, we're responsible for the communities in which we live and work. And so it aligns so perfectly with this, philosophy that the company is built on. So when we achieved the $1 billion roundtable status, it was a big deal. I mean, our CEO and all parts of the organization celebrated that accomplishment together, and quite honestly felt a sense of pride and a commitment to continue to deliver against that. So when we talk about embedding supplier diversity in the organization, not just procurement, those types of things where they can see it tied so directly to the business credo and also to our customers. So we have found that by being able to talk to our customers, and we're in healthcare space, and say, what differentiates you from all the other people that make whatever products you make? Well, this is one of those things we can say is different for us. We're the only manufacturer in healthcare that's in the BDR, and we can talk to them about best practices, and many of the healthcare customers we have, especially hospital providers and such, are not quite as far along as maybe automotive and some of the IT and other areas. So there's quite a lot of knowledge and history that we can share with them to help them come up. The idea is always about all of us rising together. So we're co-opetition. I think we use that word a lot. We sit with our competitors all the time, but in the supplier diversity space, it's a neutral zone. We don't cross the lines. We know, what we can and cannot do. But we're all about if we can bring up the diverse suppliers to that global capability to serve our purposes, we're all going to benefit from that.
One of my questions was I was going to ask you was how were you able to describe the ROI for the investment that you made to get to that $1 billion and to stay there at least? So you talked about a couple of those things, the pride and the connection to the business credo and so forth.
Benchmarking.
The benchmarking.
Actually, do take note of that. That has been something that, when we start talking about that, then it's a way to demonstrate. You can say you have it, you have supplier diversity, and a lot of us do. But this is where we get to say, well, we're a little bit further along. We like to do that.
Yes, and I would also tag on, so it's important to our customers, but it's also important to our employees who feel a great sense of pride in knowing that they work for a company that supports minority and women-owned businesses at the levels that we do. And also it's a great demonstration to the communities where we live and work.
So if you are, for those of us like my company who are aspiring to get where you are, what are some of the key tips that you would offer for companies who are, putting their march together, if you will, to get to the BDR? And I will say, as you said earlier, Veronica, the BDR is it's sort of a peg in the wall, if you will. But the point of nailing that peg to the wall is to give us something to reach for, and recognizing that we're not going to get there unless we do some different things. We're going to have to do things differently to move our program to that level. So, but what are some of your main suggestions? Yeah.
I would say the spend is important, but don't focus on the spend. Focus on the processes. Focus on the engagements and
Say more about engagement.
the process as well. You know, your engagement, the work that you do through NMSDC, through WeBank. And then the engagements even with other companies, even the BDR companies. We're here to help you. We're 21. We're happy to have 21 members, but I'm sure I could speak for all.
Companies are here.
Yes.
And we've got
If
21
every company that's at this conference
Yeah.
was a member of the BDR, imagine what we could do.
Yeah.
So I think one of the most important things is learning from each other, focus on the processes you've established, and the collaborations. Those are probably the most. And then the spend will come. Once you get those in place, the spend will come. And then before you know it, we'll be celebrating Shell. Shell and Dell.
I like that. Yeah. And of course, the same thing. You know, the best practices that MMSDC has now, the BDR has the best practice book, and you know, we know the fundamentals. You need the CEO commitment. You need it to be not just a procurement driven. You get your employee resource groups and the whole community of your business partners engaged. And then look at it as a long-term goal, not like we hit this goal and now we can all walk away, because you have to build those business processes and embed it into your processes, or you won't hit it every year. I mean, it's I won't say funny, but it's a challenge sometimes to keep it there, because you know you put the full court press on to get it, and then the next year you let off the gas, and guess what? You won't be in there anymore. So you have to embed it in your business processes. And I think the last thing that I sometimes say is when people say, well, what's the return on the investment? And you can articulate that, be it community, be it the employees, be it the customer, but have a message that speaks to all of that, because different people are listening for different things. And so you have to be able to recognize that all of those things need to be included in your articulation of what is the investment really worth. You know, so if they're a heart, you know, they said head, heart, hands, whatever, speak to all of it, because it really is all of those things together.
So you mentioned the best practices. I know that the BDR has published a book, a white paper, a book that lists the
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about the book and then the kinds of white papers that you guys do.
I'm gonna run.
I guess about 2-3 years ago, it was kind of close to the time we came in, the BDR members said, you know, it'd be good for us to publish best practice book, because, you know, that is one of our goals, is to be a leader and to share that knowledge. And quite honestly, we know a lot of those are the same best practices that MMSDC has, and we added a few more, and we worked with them to make sure that, you know, we're not trying to take credit for saying these things, but we have some additional pieces to add to it. So that's a good book. You know, the MMSDC best practices is more of a pamphlet, and the book is a little bit more in-depth with examples and such. But then each year, the BDR has a summit, and so they will focus on a different aspect of sourcing. So one year was about marketing, another year was about equity and investments. This year I think we had innovation and digitization. And we bring in, you know, the experts in those areas to kind of speak about the current and future state. We bring in examples of MBEs and corporates that, you know, have success stories with that. And then from that, we always publish a white paper, and I think it's in the MBN USA magazine this month, to, you know, kind of capsulize, you know, the main themes of that. So those, just trying to put information that we can all use to further, you know, our own goals and our own programs.
So again, you can begin to see some of the benefit that being a part of the BDR can offer, and frankly, some of the benefit that for those of us who aren't there yet, but we appreciate the work that the BDR does to try to assimilate those best practices and to share with those of us who aspire and who are working on, you know, making sure that we have all those practices in place. and that they drive us toward, reaching that goal. So.
And even with the BDR, we have a new member committee, which I actually chair. And we are, always wanting to reach out and to support others. So when a company is interested, all they have to do is contact any of us, and we will put them in a process which we call our ambassador program, and assign someone, usually it's someone because we all know each other, to be your BDR buddy or your ambassador. Yes. And it makes it easy. I mean, we've done FAQs, and we've got a deck of materials that you might be able to use with your associates back, at work to show what it's about. But sometimes you have a little question like, is this considered when you put the numbers together, or what do you do about this, or what happens if? And you don't always want to go back to the official president of the company to ask, those questions. So we want to make it easy for you to have that dialogue. And we also invite those, individuals that have expressed an interest to the summit and to, our event, so that they can be with us and kind of hear what we're doing. And again, trying to coach and mentor and support their efforts.
I really appreciate that the opportunities that you all have offered. I've had a chance to talk with both Dell folks and Johnson & Johnson folks about some of the specific things that you did to help push yourself and move your companies along in your programs. And so, and I was able to take those conversations and put the details in front of some of the right people, and we were able to get CEO sponsorship. So I'm excited. Well, thank you all so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you for coming and talk with us. And to see.
Yes. Hopefully soon that you'll be interviewing other prospective companies.
Would be nice. Would be nice.
Hopefully you'll be 22nd member.
Well, you all have a great conference.
Thank
you. I will talk with you a bit later. And in about 2 minutes, we will start into our final podcast, which will be specifically on building diverse suppliers through mergers and acquisitions. And we have a couple of great experts in this space who are going to come and talk with us about M&A opportunities and approaching them by MBEs. So thanks, and come back in about 2 minutes.
Thank you.